Revealed. After my husband's death, I inherited 30 Mullers. My surprising choice changed everything. Sarah sat in the dim light of their living room, the air thick with the lingering scent of untouched coffee. It felt surreal, like she was trapped inside a twisted dreamscape, where pain met financial windfall. There was the envelope, stark against the backdrop of their lives, holding within it a revelation that threatened to shatter what little remained of her world. $30 million, money intended to represent security, safety. But all it felt like was a weight that pulled her under. How could she ever choose a life of luxury while grappling with the ghost of James, her husband who would have fought tooth and nail to advise her against complacency? The old wooden chair creaked as she shifted, her heart racing as thoughts spiraled. She could hear whispers echoing in her mind, riddled with doubt. Should she take this chance to create a life that felt far removed from their humble beginnings in this sleepy town? Or was it a betrayal? Wasn't inheriting money a way to drift from the dreams and struggles they had shared? A fog of fear settled over her, inching its way into her chest. A fear of becoming the villain in a narrative she never intended to write. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications, so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah leaned back, catching a glimpse of their wedding photo on the mantle. A moment frozen in time, full of love and hope. But with every passing day, that hope felt increasingly distant. James's legacy had been rooted in compassion and justice, championing causes that uplifted the downtrodden. The thought of utilizing this unexpected wealth to do something meaningful, to honor his memory, was intoxicating yet daunting. Suddenly the weight shifted, but instead of feeling lighter, it felt heavier, crushing her beneath not just her sorrow, but the scrutiny of everyone who had opinions on what she should do next. "You should invest," a close friend had said, her smile faltering under the pressure of seriousness. "Think of secure futures, nice things. You deserve it." Yet all Sarah could think was, would James have wanted that? The very thought felt like betrayal woven into fabric she could no longer recognize. Decision time approached with clawing fingers, swirling her thoughts in an intricate dance. A non-profit, she thought, where she could encapsulate everything James stood for. But then, there came the backlash. Whispers in the community, once filled with adoration, turned to skepticism, their gazes sharper than knives. Envy resurfaced like old scars, and a question nagged at her, insidiously. Was she stirring a storm by challenging norms? Discomfort seeped into her skin with every conversation. Every eager suggestion loomed like a specter, haunting her deliberation. The weight of the world pressed down harder, and she felt every bit of bated breath from those around her, their anticipation making her skin prickle with unease. The road ahead felt littered with betrayals, both external and, most hauntingly, internal. With the shadows of doubt flickering against the walls of her mind, Sarah's heart raced. Was she on the brink of honor or self-destruction? As envelopes of dissent began to arrive, filled with threats that sent shivers down her spine, she braced herself for conflict, the kind that would force her to confront whether she was a leader or just another lost soul caught in a tempest. As shadows loomed ever closer, she realized that the very structure of her life and her love was unfurling into chaos. In a world awash with uncertainties, one question reverberated louder than the rest. Was this just the beginning? Or had she stepped into a fate wholly unwritten? The sun crept into the room, its golden rays piercing through her fogged thoughts, painting patches of warmth on Sarah's skin. Yet, it was a fleeting comfort that fought in vain against the chill settling deep inside her. The air felt electric, underscoring the turmoil swirling in her mind. Today marked a turning point, though she struggled to grasp the direction in which her life was about to unfold. Her instincts told her that change was imminent. The nonprofit idea lingered like a hesitant whisper. She could channel her heartache into action, but doing so meant exposing herself to a community that had evolved from adoration to suspicion. Friends turned into critics. Their eyes, once filled with kindness, now seemed steeped in skepticism. Sarah's resolve oscillated between ambition and fear as she contemplated launching the organization dedicated to causes she and James had once dreamt of championing together. Doubt clung to her like fog as she opened her laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard, struggling to commit her thoughts to an online proposal. What if she crafted something beautiful? A fund focused on education for underprivileged children in their town. Would that make her a paragon of honor? Or was she merely throwing a spotlight on her wealth? The duality gnawed at the edges. She envisioned herself standing before the community, advocating for those children while simultaneously becoming yet another symbol of disparity. Each keystroke felt like a battle, driving her deeper into the quagmire of self-examination. After what felt like hours, she eventually drafted the outline. The 3 core pillars emerged: education, mentorship, and community revitalization. Each represented fragments of a broader vision that reflected her marriage with James. Each section resonated with promises of hope. Yet, with every word written, her anxiety escalated. She was about to step into a ring of scrutiny, possibly igniting a torrent of judgment that could bring her crashing down. The silence around her grew palpable. It was broken only by the gentle tapping of her keyboard, a soundtrack to the chaos within. Unbeknownst to her, with every pressing key, she was at a precipice, teetering between the pursuit of her late husband's dreams and the specter of failure haunting her every step. What had once felt like an act of creation now mirrored desperation. Her heart raced, and she felt her thoughts turn sharp and attacking, peeling back the layers of her motivations. "You can't do this!" The voice rang clear, stronger than the others. A part of her knee-jerked, triggering a cascade of defenses. Of course she could. James had believed in her every inch of the way. But another whisper lingered, one that questioned whether she was prepared to transform her grief into philanthropy, whether she knew how to be Sarah, the widow with wealth, without faltering in her integrity. By mid-afternoon, the chair she sat in became an anchor, yet she remained fully aware that a ship was being built around her choices. She shut the laptop, eyes scanning the rooms of memories she had shared with James. Their dreams were sewn into the very fabric of the house, each corner echoing laughter and love. How could she honor him while forging her path ahead? This was about redefining her identity, not just as a grieving widow, but as a leader with influence. A sudden surge of determination welled within her. She rose, her posture straightening. A soft revolution had begun. Instead of focusing solely on anxieties, she needed to prepare herself for what lay ahead, a confrontation with both the community and her own doubts. If she ultimately determined her direction, she could pave her path forward without fear of the shadows behind her. The external conflict loomed, but so did an internal awakening, her power, purpose, and the belief that resilience could prevail. But as she stood at her window, gazing out at the mundane world, a chill skipped down her spine. Those threats clogging her mailbox shifted from annoyance to a layer of fear wrapped tightly around her resolve. The realization struck her like lightning. Addressing the dissent would be inevitable. An emerging battle was right on the horizon, and her next step could determine not just her fate, but the vision she was so determined to realize. With the weight pressing against her, she whispered her resolve to the stillness. This was merely the beginning, but confrontation lay ahead, and she had to brace herself for the inevitable storm that was about to rupture her fragile world. What would she do when the tide came in? And would she drown or swim? The brisk evening air wrapped around Sarah like an unexpected embrace as she stepped outside, the sky painted with twilight hues. Each breath she took felt revitalizing, a stark contrast to the suffocating fog inside her home. She needed to understand her place in a community shifting under the weight of judgment and expectations. Ignoring the beckoning comfort of her living room, Sarah determined to face her fears head-on, come what may. The local coffee shop bustled with familiar faces, but Sarah felt like an intruder. Every glance, every hushed conversation made her question her motives. As she settled into a small table by the window, wariness pooled in her gut. Yet, beneath that apprehension was a flicker of excitement. Perhaps this small act of stepping out was a necessary part of her evolution. She began observing the patrons, families gathered in cozy clusters, friends sharing laughter over steaming mugs, and mothers attending to their restless children. In their chatter, she heard stories of struggle and hope. This was the heart of her community, a fabric she longed to mend with her vision. But were they ready for that vision? Would they see her as a healer or as a threat? The barista, a young man with bright blue hair and an infectious smile, approached her. "Hey, Sarah. Long time no see. How have you been?" It was the kind of question that sparked a brief connection, but as soon as it left his lips, dread followed. The moment hung in the air, the weight of silence stretching between them. She could see curiosity in his eyes, perhaps even pity. "Slowly figuring it out," she replied, the words tasting of honesty, tinged with vulnerability. "I've been thinking a lot about the future." "Is that so? That sounds promising. You know, if you ever need help with anything." His attempt at encouragement hung in the air, and she felt an unexpected urge to confide in him. "I'm considering starting a nonprofit," she blurted out, the words escaping before she could stop herself. The barista's eyebrows shot up. "Wow, that's ambitious. What's it about?" That challenge was the catalyst she needed. Education for underprivileged kids, mentorship and community support specifically. Her voice gained strength as she spoke the words. "It's something I truly believe can make a difference." A moment passed as he processed her statement, his expression shifting from surprise to contemplation. "It sounds like something this place could really use, with all the struggles around here." Spurred by his response, Sarah leaned in, her heart eager and racing. "But there's something holding me back. I can't shake the feeling that people will see me as a rich widow trying to play savior." He nodded knowingly, a look of encouragement gleaming in his eyes. "But isn't it better to try than to do nothing at all? You have the resources, the passion. If you lead with your heart, who can question your intentions?" His words struck a chord, reverberating through her being. She had instinctively softened the edges of her ambitions in her mind, wrapping them in self-doubt to preempt the inevitable critique. But realizing that her potential to uplift had weight, rooted in the legacy of her love with James, offered her clarity. As she exited the cafe, something shifted. A wall inside her cracked just enough to let hope spill through. Questions that once seemed daunting began to morph into possibilities. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through contacts, contemplating who might be the first to approach about turning her vision into reality. Yet unease still lingered, linking her aspirations back to the shadows of doubt. A sudden soft chime interrupted her thoughts. An email notification blinked brightly on her screen, the sender's name drawing her breath short. It was a message from one of her closest friends, someone she hadn't communicated with since James's passing. The subject line read, "Can we talk?" A feeling of anxiety washed over her, tightening her chest. She knew discussing her intentions would elicit a storm she was not quite prepared for, but the truth hung heavy on her heart. Confrontation loomed, both with herself and with the people she once called friends. What awaited her in the exchange? Would she find allies championing her cause, or enemies stoking her insecurities? She hesitated, her finger hovering over the screen. The weight of every unspoken opinion taunted her resolve, and yet, deep inside, she felt the pulse of anticipation grow louder. The air inside her home felt thick with uncharted emotions as Sarah reread the email. "Can we talk?" echoed in her mind, each word a pounding drumbeat of anxiety and anticipation. Her closest friend, Laura, had always been a source of unwavering support. But since the tragedy, their connection had splintered. Would this conversation bring healing or expose cracks in her facade? She took a deep breath and sat at the small kitchen table, staring absently at the remnants of her life before James. Memories flooded her senses. His laughter, the warmth of shared moments, the plans they had painstakingly crafted. Now, those dreams felt like whispers of another lifetime, replaced by an urgent need for reinvention. What was she without him? What could she be with the legacy he left behind? Her phone buzzed, jolting her from the maze of memories. It was a reminder of their conversation, scheduled later that evening. With a sudden resolve, she opened a document on her laptop, titling it "Non-Profit Vision." This was where she wanted to begin anew, a tangible testament to both her and James's belief in the power of education. As the words poured onto the page, a mix of determination and doubt battled within her. She recalled the barista's words, "Lead with your heart." But with every point she made, every strategy for mentorship and community support, she was forced to confront her inner naysayer, the voice that questioned her motives, that mocked her ambition. Why would anyone believe that she, a woman encumbered by wealth yet still bereaving, had the authority to enact change? A knock at the door broke her concentration, and she opened it to find Laura standing there, a hesitant smile on her face. Instinctively, Sarah felt the old warmth flood back, yet the tension hung thick between them, a gauzy veil they would have to pull back slowly. "Hey," Laura said softly, stepping inside. "It's been a while." "Yeah, a little too long, I think." Sarah gestured to the living room, but her eyes flickered back to the glowing screen, where her ramblings about her vision awaited judgment. "Are you okay?" The question lingered awkwardly as they both settled onto the couch, a chasm between their unspoken regrets. "I'm working through it," Sarah offered, her gaze fixed on Laura, searching for the supportive friend she had known. "I've been thinking about starting something, a nonprofit focused on education for kids. I really believe it could help." Laura's brows knitted together, a shadow of concern flashing across her features. "What about it makes you feel ready now?" The vulnerability of that inquiry sparked an inner conflict, forcing Sarah to confront the reality of her pursuits. It was easier to project purpose while hiding behind the screen. Sharing her ambitions felt like exposing her raw underbelly. "I'm scared they'll think I'm just a widow trying to play the role of savior, without really understanding their needs." "But you do understand. It's about more than just money or a title. It's about your heart," Laura replied, her tone even yet firm. For the first time, Sarah felt the weight of her hesitations challenged in a constructive manner. Laura wasn't dismissing her. She was inviting her to embrace her narrative, to confront the stigma associated with her intentions. "Let's explore your ideas. Get your vision clear, and maybe even look at how you can involve those in the community. I know people who would be eager to get involved," Laura suggested, her enthusiasm slowly igniting a flicker of excitement within Sarah. "This sounds manageable," Sarah admitted, a renewed sense of purpose beginning to bloom. "But I'll need to reach out to the community, despite my fears." Their conversation continued to unravel. Barrier after barrier was dismantled with each shared story and mutual encouragement. With each laugh and nod of understanding, Sarah felt her confidence morph from fragile to formidable. Her determination to lift others while healing herself began to solidify into something real. As they outlined potential steps forward, a thought nagged at Sarah. What if discussing her ideas with others only stoked her insecurities? Would she find allies or critics among the community? Yet, lurking beneath that doubt was a conviction that she might not have to answer those questions alone. With Laura's support, the once solitary journey ahead felt collaboratively promising. The vision was slowly coalescing, but now it came with an unspoken question. What voice would she be prepared to confront first among the community? And in that moment, as the evening stretched onward, with uncertainty ebbing away, Sarah realized that the path before her was not only about bringing change, but about reclaiming her own story. Her phone chimed again, a reminder of an upcoming community meeting. Would this be where her journey truly began? Would she dare to step forward, fueled by a vision not just of ambition, but of healing? The next morning, Sarah woke with the sun creeping through her curtains, casting warm rectangles of light across her bedroom floor. This golden warmth felt foreign, yet invigorating, meticulously lifting her from the shadows of her grief. Today was different. Today she would step into a realm that felt both volatile and exhilarating, the community meeting. As she sipped a steaming cup of coffee, her mind flickered back to the evening's discussion with Laura. Her fledgling vision had joined forces with the remnants of unresolved sorrow, pushing her toward a path that could either result in profound fulfillment or expose her to unimaginable vulnerability. What if the dream she shaped like clay was rejected? Forcing her thoughts to quiet, Sarah moved to her workspace, organizing notes and reflections she had amassed over the past few days. The document titled Nonprofit Vision stretched across her screen, each paragraph representing a unique facet of hope, interspersed with flickers of apprehension. And as she read through her plans, something inside her stirred, a half-recognized determination spurred forward by necessity. She recalled Laura's words, "It's about your heart." Those words echoed through her mind like a gentle balm, imploring her to access the hidden reservoir of passion that hadn't quite dried up yet. Yet, as she stared at her computer, raw emotion gripped her. At this moment, she felt like a child embarking into a vast wilderness, questioning whether she had the tools to navigate through it. Dressing in a simple but sharp outfit, a navy blazer over a white blouse, Sarah hoped to exude an air of professionalism blended with vulnerability. It felt like armor and a security blanket all at once. She contemplated the paradox of her situation. A woman armed with wealth but burdened by loss, stepping into the world with a purpose defined by both despair and aspiration. When she arrived at the community center, her heart raced, each thump echoing internally as she scanned the space filled with familiar faces. Some were neighbors, others were strangers, all seemingly engaged in animated conversations. The atmosphere hummed with possibility, yet Sarah felt the familiar constriction in her throat as she approached the group. Would her vision resonate, or would it be drowned in skepticism? As the meeting commenced, Sarah forced herself to listen, absorbing it all. Ideas about educational initiatives, funding streams, and community resources. With each presentation, she took mental notes, grappling with a turbulent mixture of admiration and self-doubt. It was evident that many participants knew the lay of the land far better than she did, their confidence eliciting an internal struggle. Finally, the moment arrived, a call for new proposals, new blood, new ideas. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks as eyes turned toward her. This was it, the flicker of opportunity she had dreamt about, now laid bare for judgment. "Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah," she began, fighting against the perceived weight of every gaze. "I believe in the transformative power of education, especially for those who need it most. I've started working on a nonprofit that aims to provide mentorship and resources for underprivileged children." Her words poured out, brittle yet powerful, infused with her desire to honor James's legacy. She articulated her vision: mentorship programs, partnerships with local businesses, and creating safe spaces for learning. But as she spoke, the nagging voice of doubt nagged at her. "Does she think she can truly make a difference?" it taunted. As she completed her pitch, an awkward silence momentarily held the room hostage. Just when she thought her voice had failed, a hand shot up. Sarah's heart skipped. A familiar figure. It was Tom, an influential local educator who had served in the community for decades. "I think this is a wonderful concept, but I'd like to know how you plan to involve the voices of the children you're trying to help," he questioned, his tone curious, but firm. The room shifted, and a wave of support echoed through it. Tom's query sparked something visceral in Sarah. We'll engage children directly, through surveys, workshops, listening sessions. Their lived experiences are the compass guiding our initiatives. Only they can tell us what they need, she responded, surprised by the conviction in her voice. As the meeting progressed, she felt a dawning realization. The fear of exposure was worth facing, worth shaking off like a weighty cloak. She could be the bridge between those resources and the community, the translator of unspoken dreams into tangible plans. With each point she articulated, confidence began to replace insecurity. The cadences of doubt faded, making room for purpose. By the end of the meeting, she was met not with skepticism, but encouragement. Voices filled the room, seeking to collaborate, to brainstorm, to bring support to her fledgling vision. As she stepped outside into the crisp evening air, a surge of clarity and exhilaration washed over her. And yet, as she turned to head home, a thought twisted in the pit of her stomach. Could she maintain this momentum and remain true to her vision? Would echoes of her past still haunt her, or could she boldly redefine her narrative? With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Sarah realized with sudden clarity that the night was far from over. She had a decision to make regarding her approach. Would she continue down this path of collective involvement, or would fears keep her shackled? Her resolve fortified, she pulled out her phone, prepared to make calls that could steer her vision into reality, unaware of the challenges that awaited her next. Each push forward revealed another door to unlock. How many would she have to courageously open? As Sarah walked through her front door, an electric current of newfound determination surged through her, mingled with lingering trepidation. She sank into the comfort of her couch, the soft fabric enveloping her, but her mind remained ablaze. Each flicker of thought was a reminder of the night's rising tide of possibilities. Yet apprehension anchored her deeper into reality. Her phone buzzed, Laura's name flashing on the screen. A lifeline, she thought as she answered. "Hey, Laura, you'll never believe what just happened." Laura laughed softly. "You've done it, haven't you? I can hear it in your voice." "I presented my nonprofit idea. Tom asked about involving children directly, and I think my answer surprised even me. It felt powerful." "That's amazing, Sarah. What's next for you?" The question hung in the air, shaping itself into a pivotal moment for Sarah. She had stepped into the unfamiliar, illuminated by a friendly spark of potential, but that was merely the threshold of a deeper journey. "I need to build on this," she confessed. "I need to learn more about the field, connect with the people who can help me shape this into something real." "Great. What do you have in mind?" As they talked, ideas spun like threads around her, weaving a richer fabric of action. She mentioned reaching out to local educators, nonprofit leaders, and anyone who could help facilitate her vision. Engaging others would ground her project in a collaborative spirit, rather than elevating the fear of isolation she had previously felt. There was a world beyond her initial doubts, a vast landscape to explore. During their call, Laura encouraged Sarah to attend workshops on nonprofit management and fundraising strategies as a means to bridge gaps in her knowledge. "Sign up. Knowledge is your greatest ally now," she urged. Taking Laura's advice to heart, Sarah spent hours scouring the internet for resources. With each workshop she signed up for, an exhilarating undercurrent of purpose propelled her forward. The thought of shaping lives infused her with energy, and the clamor of self-doubt gradually quieted, replaced by a sense of urgency. The clock was ticking on her vision, and she could feel its heartbeat resonating within her. Days rolled into weeks as Sarah attended various seminars and met with community leaders. Each interaction pulled back layers of her own understanding. She felt herself transforming, not just into a leader, but into a conduit of wisdom and empathy. Moments arose when she would question her worthiness for such an endeavor. "What do I know?" She would start to ponder, but a trivial quiz in her mind would pull her back. The vast fortune she inherited, the responsibility it imposed, the desire to honor her husband's memory by shaping futures positively. Late one evening, Sarah sat at her desk, tangled in her thoughts. After drafting emails to several community stakeholders, she felt a familiar gnawing tug of insecurity. The reality that she was not just building a nonprofit, but also stepping into a leadership role that required dynamic negotiation and public speaking rattled her. Suddenly, she remembered her sessions in front of the group. The visceral fear she felt while confronting Tom's question transformed into a sense of liberation. "If I can face my community, I can face anything," she whispered to herself, igniting a seed of self-confidence. Driven by the notion of accountability, she ventured out, making calls to friends who had experience in philanthropy. Each conversation opened a door to wisdom, strategies, and connections. The proactive steps sprinted ahead, creating a trajectory, almost like a rocket poised for launch. Yet with every new initiative, a specter of fear loomed, whispering doubts of inadequacy. Would she ever escape the shadows of her past? She couldn't help but feel as if she was navigating through a fog, unsure of where each step might lead. Then one afternoon, while refining her project plans, another realization struck her fiercely. She couldn't just move forward, she should also reflect. If she incorporated stories of those who had suffered and thrived, weaving their narratives into her work, it would not just humanize her mission, it would solidify it. That night, as Sarah closed her laptop, a lingering thought ignited a sense of urgency within her. To fuel her vision, she needed authenticity, the real stories of those she aimed to help. Taking a deep breath, she wondered who would be the first voice to share their truth with her. In that moment, a sudden idea began to spark, a vision of a community storytelling forum. What if she could facilitate a safe space for children to share their experiences? But with this realization came a new wave of anxiety. Would community members be receptive to such an idea? The delicate balance of vulnerability and strength weighed heavily upon her as she pondered the ramifications of stepping deeper into this uncharted territory. The uncertainty loomed, thickened like humidity before a storm. She knew the moment of decision was approaching, and she needed to confront it head-on. Would she risk vulnerability for the chance to cultivate true connection? Or would the echoes of her hesitations draw her back into her shell? Inhaling deeply, Sarah prepared to step into the unknown once more. A new phase awaited her, fraught with unanswered questions and the promise of revelation. How could she navigate this precarious journey without falling prey to her fears? The pieces of the narrative she would have to weave were pulsating in her mind, yet the edges were still unrefined, begging for exploration. The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating Sarah's cluttered desk, where stacks of notes and brochures lay piled high. She stretched, shaking off the remnants of another sleepless night spent cycling through the potential repercussions of her idea. The thought of a storytelling forum filled her with both excitement and dread. Would it invite connection or create a rift she could not mend? Gathering her thoughts, she reached for her notebook and began to outline her plan. What if she targeted not only children in need, but also local schools? The resonance of the idea sparked energy within her. Engaging educators would lend credibility, and their enthusiasm could galvanize her mission. But how could she approach them without sounding presumptive? She was still discovering her voice in this world. Despite her uncertainties, she felt emboldened to act. That afternoon, she scheduled a meeting with the principal of the local elementary school, a woman named Ms. Carter, known for her dedication to student welfare. A wave of vulnerability washed over her as she considered the implications of presenting herself as a leader in a field so foreign to her. Hours passed, and as the clock ticked ever closer to the meeting, Sarah's hands grew clammy. She could visualize Ms. Carter's face, the way she listened intently to the students, their hopes and fears curling around her. If Sarah could share her vision, then perhaps the principal would help her dive deeper into the local education environment. Arriving at the school, Sarah was met with bright murals and children's laughter spilling through the hallways. Each step echoed her trepidation, amplifying the doubt thrumming beneath her skin. Would she be seen as a naive dreamer, or respected as a serious advocate for change? She inhaled sharply, adjusting her posture while she rode an internal roller coaster of self-affirmation. "Ms. Carter? I'm Sarah Green," she introduced herself when they met, her voice slightly wavering. Sarah instantly regretted her informality, wondering if she should have opted for more authority. Yet Ms. Carter responded with warmth, urging Sarah to take a seat. In the subsequent moments, Sarah poured her heart into her proposal. She spoke of children's stories and the transformative power of empathy. Ms. Carter listened intently, nodding along, her eyes sparking with interest. "That's a compelling vision, Sarah," she eventually said. "But what do you anticipate the kids will gain from sharing their stories? This is a vulnerable process." A rush of uncertainty surged through her, the shadow of doubt creeping back in. "I want them to feel heard and empowered, but I worry that some may not want to share," she admitted. "It's a valid concern," Ms. Carter countered gently. "Not every child will have the tools or the courage to discuss their experiences. Support mechanisms are crucial. Have you considered how you might facilitate that?" Her mind raced. Safety, respect, and privacy. These weren't just details. They were essential foundations. If she could provide a protective environment, perhaps empowering stories would surface naturally. "I'm willing to have trained mentors present," Sarah suggested, gaining momentum. "They'd guide the conversations and provide a buffer for sensitive topics." The principal leaned back in her chair, thoughtfully stroking her chin. "I think you might have something here, but you need to test this with a pilot program. You should speak with parents as well to gauge their support." Leaving the meeting, a sense of victory filled Sarah, though she remained acutely aware of the hurdles yet to come. The hesitations from parents, the resistance of other stakeholders. Each whisper of caution echoed in her mind as she drove home, where the magnitude of her venture settled heavily on her shoulders. She wasn't just navigating logistics. She was teetering on the edge of a deep personal commitment to facilitate change and real healing, both for herself and those who would share their experiences. That evening, the dim light of her desk lamp illuminated her tangle of notes and ideas, but Sarah's heart raced with renewed resolve. Torn between the logistics of her pilot program and the emotional weight of its impact, she realized there was a critical next step. She needed to build a framework of trust, not only among children, but also with their families. As she mapped out her next moves, a heavy realization struck her. Would she have the courage to face parents' concerns about exposing their children's stories? Would she experience the same vulnerability she expected of her audience? The duality of her mission, equipping others while facing her own fear, gathered intensity. In that moment, the realization struck her like lightning. She needed her own story too. To guide others, she must be willing to present her truth. And thus, a question lingered in her mind like a living thing. What fragments of her past would she share, and how would they transform her journey? The weight of self-disclosure loomed now heavier than ever, but she was ready to explore that terrain. A thought flickered, a compelling image of herself standing before the community, bearing honesty and vulnerability. But would they truly embrace her narrative? The anxiety surged as the lines between her past and present blurred further, propelling her to contemplate her next step and the boundaries she would need to cross. How would she navigate this uncharted landscape without losing the core of who she was? Tomorrow would reveal itself, but for tonight, the path to authenticity lay shrouded in uncertainty, and Sarah held on tightly to the light of possibility flickering just ahead. Her nights were now divided between brainstorming sessions and bouts of sleeplessness, each freckled with visions of success and dread. As dawn dipped into her room, Sarah jolted awake to an unrelenting realization. She needed to confront her past. Her story was integral, a linchpin in the fragile network of trust she aimed to establish. Could the ghosts of her childhood experiences fortify her endeavors, or cloud her message? Coffee in hand, Sarah flicked through her old journal, pages soft with age. Each entry danced before her eyes, memories she had once tucked away resurfacing vividly. There was a line about the fear of judgment, and another about yearning for validation. Perhaps, Buried within those reflections lay her answer. The fractured pieces of herself once hinted at strength and resilience, but these days, they felt more like chains pulling her back. Sitting cross-legged on her couch, she contemplated the form of a workshop for parents. They were the gatekeepers, the guardians of their children's emotions. If she could invite them to share in her journey, perhaps they would find common ground. An initial drawing of her thoughts revealed questions. What would be the purpose of sharing my story? And how might it resonate with parents? The answers were layered. In sharing her vulnerabilities, she could foster empathy, engender familial connections, and illuminate the healing process. Sarah sensed a transfer of responsibility. If she allowed herself to connect, maybe they would do the same for their children. Yet, with every question came a task to face her fear. The thought of exposing her life's nuances, the moments of pain and insecurity, sent shivers down her spine. She was afraid of becoming the subject of scrutiny, of being perceived as overly dramatic or seeking unwarranted sympathy. The prospect of emotional exposure transformed into a formidable enemy, one she couldn't avoid if she wanted her vision to take flight. As the week drew to a close, Sarah crafted outlines for the parent workshop, seeking engagement rather than control. She envisioned a space where storytelling emerged as a co-created experience, fueled by her truth. Would her confession bridge the gap? Would it foster open conversations in living rooms about vulnerability, in turn influencing children's stories? At the school, the buzz of lunch echoed through the halls, a stark reminder of youthful interaction, a rhythm she yearned to replicate. She decided she would ask Ms. Carter for input on her development plan for the parent workshop. Perhaps the principal could draw connections between Sarah's intent and the broader goals of the school community. As she approached Ms. Carter's office, Sarah felt the cool air wash over her, ebbing the rising tide of anxiety inching its way back. Would she find an ally in the principal, or face muted skepticism? The dual pull of anticipation and dread swirled within her stomach as she knocked and was invited inside. "Ms. Green," Ms. Carter greeted her warmly. Sarah could sense the principal's attentiveness, a stark contrast to the echoes of her past where her voice often faded into the background. "Thank you for meeting with me," Sarah began, then laid her proposal before Ms. Carter. "I want to include parents in this process, and I think sharing my story is crucial to that." Ms. Carter raised an eyebrow, clearly curious but unyieldingly professional. "What aspects do you plan to share?" The question hung like a pendulum, swinging between fear and resolve. Sarah took a breath, feeling her heart race. "I want them to know that I understand what it's like to struggle, to feel unheard. I believe if I open up, they might feel more comfortable doing the same." Recognition echoed in Ms. Carter's eyes, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah grasped a sense of possibility. "Your courage could indeed encourage others," Ms. Carter replied thoughtfully. "It's vital to create an environment where parents feel safe and willing to share too. Perhaps we could host an open forum where these discussions take place." Sarah's pulse quickened at the idea. She was inching closer to weaving her personal narrative into a structure that encouraged not just her own growth, but also that of those around her. As she left the office, potential unfurled around her like a canopy of stars, illuminating a path forward. But beneath the excitement simmered another layer of fear. What if her story wasn't enough? What if unveiling her past didn't resonate, or worse, frightened others away? Determined to confront these doubts head-on, she resolved to prepare herself emotionally. Facing her fears would not merely impact her. It would ripple into the lives of those listening, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and understanding. Yet, as she sat down that night, a nagging thought persisted, a whisper that begged her to confront her deepest fear. What if she was never truly ready to share the rawest parts of her story? And even more strenuously, what would the cost of that delay be in embracing this daunting journey ahead? Within her heart, something flickered, as faint as a whisper, yet as profound as the resolve swelling inside. Tomorrow would be a step closer to finding out. Sarah woke with a start, the room dim with sunrise as the pale light seeped through the curtains. The pressure within her chest felt heavier than before, a reminder that today was not just an ordinary day. She had made a commitment to face her past and share her narrative with an audience that might still be a figment of her imagination. Today, she intended to find her voice. After a quick shower, she raided her closet in search of something assertive yet comfortable, a reflection of the new woman she was trying to become. A tailored blouse and fitted jeans seemed to do the trick, projecting confidence while allowing her some room to breathe. As she tightened her hair into a sleek bun, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror, a stranger staring back. But underneath the nervous surface lay a whisper of determination. She would not shy away from this connection. At the school, the scent of freshly brewed coffee permeated the hall as she entered the staff lounge. The chatter of teachers and parents blended into a hum, and Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline pulse through her. She grabbed a cup of coffee, her hands trembling just slightly as she took a seat at a table. Ms. Carter had promised to rally support for the open forum, and today was crucial to ensure that the platform remained collaborative. In the corner of the lounge, she spotted Ms. Carter engaged in conversation with a few parents. Their shared laughter sliced through her anxiety, nudging her to stand and approach. Each step felt like a mile, but the thought of potential shared experiences fueled her resolve. "Ms. Carter, do you have a moment?" Sarah ventured, her voice steadier than she felt. "Absolutely, Sarah. We were just talking about how to engage more parents." Ms. Carter turned her attention to Sarah, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. The other parents shifted slightly to listen too. "I was hoping to discuss how I can make my story resonate with them during the workshop," Sarah said, feeling the warmth of their collective gaze. "Your story is powerful, Sarah, but how will you help them see themselves in it?" Ms. Carter prompted, nudging Sarah to think on deeper levels. A moment of vulnerability threatened to surface, yet the inquiry lit something within her. "By sharing my childhood struggles, I'll encourage them to reflect on their own challenges. I want them to feel a connection, to feel safe in their vulnerability." Parents nodded, their expressions shifting from casual interest to earnest engagement. The warmth of their attention, however fleeting, ignited a spark in Sarah. This could work. She had found a way to carry her past into the present, shaping a more unified experience rather than merely revealing her narrative. But just as she began to breathe easier, a shadow of doubt brushed against her resolve. What if I reveal too much? What if they don't understand the complexities of my experiences? The fear tangled with excitement, creating a complex web of emotions. As the discussion continued, another voice rose from the table. "And how do you plan to make it an interactive experience?" Sarah turned toward the speaker, a sharp-eyed mother who had previously been quiet. "I want to create space for parents to share their stories too. It shouldn't just be me on a pedestal. I'm hoping we can all participate." The mother raised an eyebrow, skepticism threading her tone. "But do people really want to share? Private struggles often stay private." Sarah felt the slight jolt. The mother's apprehension was valid. Perhaps she hadn't fully considered the fear that might paralyze others from stepping into the light. "If we build trust, it might open doors," she replied, her heart racing. "My intention is not to dwell on pain, but to empower connection and healing." At this moment, another parent spoke up. "I might want to open up about my experiences. It's hard, but necessary." The power of shared stories shifted the atmosphere, as heads nodded in agreement. Sarah could sense a crack forming in the wall of reluctance. "Then let's partner up and figure out a flow that makes this feel safe and constructive," Ms. Carter said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. The tension dissipated slightly, replaced by a flicker of collective determination. But despite this encouragement, Sarah felt waves of apprehension crashing against her sense of purpose. As she left the lounge that day, excitement surged through her along with a fear born of vulnerability. The parents had started to warm to the idea, But how much of her truth would she be willing to reveal? Would they remain open-hearted, or would her honesty push them away? The gnawing uncertainty lingered like a shadow behind her, igniting an inner conflict as she prepared for the next step. How could she find clarity in her story and keep herself grounded as she walked this tightrope of emotional exposure? Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and Sarah knew she had to face them with a steady heart, or risk slipping into the darkness she had fought so hard to escape. The moment was fast arriving when she would confront not only her fears, but the revelations she might unearth within herself. But was she ready? The sun streamed through the leaves, casting patterns of light and shadow on the ground as Sarah stepped into the park that was now her temporary sanctuary. It was here she had chosen to host the first of many storytelling workshops, a culmination of her journey. A journey fraught with vulnerability, but strengthened by resolve. The air buzzed with anticipation, each breeze carrying whispers of hope and apprehension. Finally, after weeks of preparation, she was ready to unveil her vision. The narrative of her past would interlace with those around her, a tapestry of shared experience promising resilience and empowerment. As Sarah prepared the space, setting up chairs in a circle under the elegant oak tree, she reflected on just how far she'd come. The timid widow who once hid behind her fears had grown into an advocate, ready to lead with her heart. With each parent's arrival, the familiar flutter of nerves clutched at her. However, instead of retreating, she leaned into it, allowing the warmth of their smiles to bolster her confidence. As they settled down, she caught a glimpse of their curiosity. Would they respect her story? And more importantly, would they be willing to share their own? "Welcome, everyone," Sarah began, her voice steady yet filled with warmth. "I'm grateful you took the time to join me today. I believe that our stories matter." She could see the faint nods, encouragement laced through the sea of skepticism. The moment had arrived to share the narratives woven within her, the childhood fears, the immense grief, stories she had once hidden in silence. As she recounted her journey, the weight of her truth hung in the air, vulnerability intertwined with strength. Losing James was painful, but through that pain, I realized the power of sharing our struggles. It's okay to feel lost, but when we voice our stories, we find connection. The soft whispers of agreement rippled through the gathering, eyes glistening with understanding and courage. This was her chance, her commitment to foster a safe space for exploration, not just for her, but for everyone present. Inviting the parents to share their own stories felt like stepping into a vast ocean. She extended her intention. This circle is a haven for us to connect and relate through our experiences, no judgment. Would anyone like to share? At first, a silent hesitation blanketed the group. The fear echoed in their eyes, mirroring her own. Yet, as the moment stretched, she noticed a hand slowly rise. It was Jennifer, a mother whose own struggles had echoed Sarah's, a woman's heart desperately seeking understanding in a tumultuous world. "I lost my father a year ago," Jennifer admitted, her voice trembling. "And I never really talked about it. I thought I had to be strong for my family. But the truth is, sharing that pain feels healing. The confession softens the air, prompting others to respond. Each story brought forth a loud light into the shared shadows, bridging gaps fractured by grief and isolation. While some expressed sorrow, others illuminated their triumph over adversity. Each narrative spun a collective tapestry of resilience and understanding, igniting a bond that felt almost palpable. By the end of the session, Sarah felt a shift deep within her. A sense of fulfillment blossomed, mingling with pride. They left the park, not just as individuals, but as a community, armed with connections that held the promise of ongoing support. A realization dawned. She had activated not only her healing process, but had also catalyzed theirs. She had begun to forge not just a nonprofit, but a movement grounded in empathy and shared stories. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah curled up with her journal, reflecting on the day. In the pages, she recorded her thoughts, a testimony to the triumph over fear. She had conquered the self-doubt that once paralyzed her. She had voiced her truth and created a safe space for others to do the same. Victory surged through her as she closed her journal. The whispers of her past no longer felt like chains dragging her down, but threads tying her to a greater purpose. She realized her journey was far from over. It was just beginning. But with each step forward, she felt solid confidence rising within her. A recognition that she was not merely a widow with wealth, but a leader capable of inspiring change. As she tucked her journal away, she vowed to continue this work, to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. She could feel it, a profound transformation coursing through her veins. Sarah was becoming the architect of her future, and today, she had proven to herself that she could accomplish her dreams through authenticity and heart. This was the culmination of her journey toward healing, understanding, and connection. A life lived not in the shadows of loss, but in the light of shared human experience. Tomorrow would usher in new challenges, yet she would meet them armed with unshakable confidence and the unwavering belief in her capacity to cultivate change. Now was the time to transform her vision into reality, a test not just of her ambition, but of her commitment to lifting others while reclaiming her narrative. With renewed purpose, Sarah moved forward, ready to embrace each moment with open arms. And for you, the journey of personal transformation awaits. You need to subscribe now to witness Sarah's ongoing evolution in future episodes and not miss out on exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more people who need these inspiring messages. Comment your reactions and theories about Sarah's journey and how it might resonate with your own life. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and remind them of the power of vulnerability. Don't wait even one more second to show your support. Together, we can foster a community committed to personal growth and storytelling.